Hello everyone, you are watching a snippet of the May 4th, 2023 countdown program. Today is Thursday. For the Mukhnitik's reaction to the drone attack on the Kremlin, see Daily Motion. See the full version of the program on the Patreon resource. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. And I'm moving on to the main thing. At the phrase counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine, something starts to fall out of the pants of the Russian rachists. Yesterday, 2 drones fell out. Moreover, right on the Kremlin. The attack, which the Bald service reported only at 2 noon, happened at night. 2 drones flew to the Kremlin and exploded there. After the official announcement, videos from different angles began to appear on the network. At the same time, they decided not to show them on federal TV channels, limiting themselves to reading official messages and hysterical comments. The public identified 3 versions of what happened. The first is Ukraine, and this is the most unlikely version. Moreover, Ukrainian officials immediately said, "It's definitely not us." And in this case it is pointless to lie to them, especially since even the US State Department, through Blinken, declared, Ukraine has the right to defend itself as it sees fit, and no one condemns it for this. Because she is protective. However, the probability of an attack from Ukraine is practically zero. The second version, it was done by some partisans who launched drones from the east and they flew. Also an unlikely version, although the Russian air defense, admittedly, resembles a sieve, given how many Ukrainian drones have already covered decent distances and were not shot down. The third version is a provocation of the rachists themselves, and here is the fork. Either this provocation was ordered by the hawks, Putin and Patrushev, or Putin no longer controls anything, and in this way he is being shaken by a group seeking to end the war and overthrow the dictator as soon as possible. The latter is unlikely, if only because, under conditions of total control over the environment and moods, any desperate attempts are stopped at the level of behind-the-scenes conversations. Suffice it to recall the leaked wiretaps of producers and businessmen. They only whispered, and in the bunker they already heard. And then, a whole attack on the Kremlin? Only one version remains. This is the order of the hawks. They hear Prigozhin's moaning that the counteroffensive has actually already begun, and the armed forces of Ukraine have an unlimited amount of weapons, manpower and equipment, and that this wave is about to sweep away Shoigu's army along with the Crimean mothers. This means that we urgently need to use Ryazan sugar, which will open up broad prospects. Of course, not a nuclear strike, about which the FSB provocateur Osechkin immediately squealed, but the road to a broader mobilization of the population. The Institute for the Study of War analyzes this attack with the utmost clarity. Over the past few months, the Russian authorities have consistently reinforced the air defense system around Moscow, installing Panzer anti-aircraft missile and gun systems. This makes it unlikely that 2 drones could break through the layered air defense and explode right over the heart of the Kremlin. However, this is what provided an impressive picture of the attack. Also in favor of the staging is the fact that the authorities showed a coherent and coordinated reaction. If the attack came as a surprise to Moscow, then different authorities would offer conflicting explanations, as happened after the military defeats in Balaklia and Kherson. The attack was prepared from within in such a way that the intended political consequences outweighed the embarrassment. The Kremlin might need a staging to present the war in Ukraine as something existential that requires the participation of everyone. End of quote. Analyst Vladislav Inozemtsev analyzes the consequences of imposing martial law if Putin decides to do so. The imposition of martial law will destroy the most important illusion created by our government, the illusion that the hostilities are far away and most Russians are not affected. If this confidence disappears, the scale of the public's panic reaction is unpredictable. But there is one more thing. Martial law is the most important force majeure, which nullifies almost the entire array of economic contracts and agreements. A huge number of economic chains will be broken, and it is completely incomprehensible why and with what consequences. The event happened. Hysteria in full swing. All this does not bode well for us. End of quote. Rachists tremble. The Overton window opened yesterday and it is blowing harder and harder, writes a wool analyst. The window of opportunity, To respond in such a way as to influence the nature of the beginning Ukrainian offensive is still open, but will not remain so for long, a few days. Yesterday, the armed forces of Ukraine already carried out reconnaissance in battle near Orkhov and Vuhledar. Tomorrow, a round-the-clock curfew will begin in Kherson, analysts vanked, posing the question point-blank and stating the fork in the situation. Possessed Medvedev threatens to kill Zelensky. But what's the point? To win, the Russians will have to kill all Ukrainians, and this is not realistic. Massive missile attacks no longer frighten Ukraine. Russians and so kill methodically. Only after their next attack on the Kherson region, 23 people were killed, 46 people were injured. So in Ukraine there is no longer fear, but there is one burning desire, to destroy the Russian evil spirits forever. And if we attack the Kremlin, then not with mosquito bites, but with something more serious. Become our patrons now and look further in this program. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in the Netherlands. Today he met with the Prime Minister, the heads of the foreign and defense ministries of this country. He also visited the International Criminal Court in The Hague. Before the start of the active phase of the counteroffensive, Ukraine continues to attack Russian oil depots, depriving the aggressor of fuel supplies. Commenting on the incident with the drone attack on the Kremlin, the Chinese Foreign Ministry said that the parties to the conflict should avoid actions that could lead to a further escalation of the situation. And Dmitry Rogozin, who returned to the front line, recalled the Kremlin's nuclear doctrine, which allows the use of nuclear weapons. In connection with the drone attack on the Kremlin, for the time being, orders have been ordered to remain calm, clench your teeth into fists and wait for the leader's general ridge. The May 9th parade will take place, Putin will speak and throw a general ridge. For the official reaction of the Kremlin bosses, furries and eggheads, see the story on Daily Motion. And that is all. See the full version of the program on the Patreon resource. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. I hugged everyone. See you tomorrow on Friday Live. Glory to Ukraine.